So let's talk about iteration or iteration, however you call it. Please don't mind me using different pronunciations for these two words in the video. So when you do iteration, things tend to get better. Let's assume you started working on a project, any discipline. Let's consider code, for example. If it's a game jam, you just finish the game and then you will never look at it. So probably you will not never, realize this, or you might realize this. But let's say you're a solo dev, you're working on a project for like a year, and then you look back, take a look at the code, and then you think, I could have written this a lot better than what it was written before, and then you go ahead and optimize it. You probably condense the 10 lines of code into either 7 or 5 lines. You are doing this a lot better. This applies to a lot of disciplines, not only code per se. This also applies to art. Let's say you're drawing continuously, and then you realize that your art has gotten better over the years, or like in a span of years. So you go back and polish those assets that you initially made because they have some sort of a flaws in it. We'll talk more about iteration in this video. This is devlog 14 of Palm Sugar, a village story. And in this devlog, we will be talking about how we've implemented the UI, and we will talk more about iteration in the later half of the video, or in the end of the video. How did we go about doing this, at least, making the UI? So initially we just made some placeholder UI that you can see it on the screen, which was just, serving its purpose basically. It was there as a placeholder. It was, fine. It wasn't something really phenomenal or like eye-catching. And once you actually go through finishing off the most important work in the game, then you feel like revisiting these areas, UI, or if the art hasn't been done properly, or code hasn't been written properly, or you want to optimize, you tend to revisit. So when we revisited, we figured out that this UI for both keyboard and game controller weren't made that well. So what we've decided was to redo them, and the way we proceeded with this was to start taking feedback, like what is it that is working. The reason why you need to take feedback, or like a third person perspective, is very important, is because your eyes tend to adjust to the darkness. That's the analogy that I want to use. The reason I say this is, like, if you keep looking at the same kind of asset or keep looking at the same thing, it tends to feel very boring. It doesn't have that kind of flair to it when the first time that you look at it. So you feel like you want to do something better. Now the question is, it might be alright, but since you've been staring at this for a year right now, you feel that this needs some change. So this is something a little bit difficult to determine. So what we've done is we've taken feedback from the community, from WhatsApp, and we figured there was this one specific comment which said, "Show, don't tell," which is very, I think, if I don't have a UI or UX background, but I think a lot of UI UX people can relate to this, when you actually show but do not tell. So what we have done is, I had created these animating keys for the keyboard inputs, and the button press animation for the controller inputs, and like the key press animation for keyboards as well. And then I had given these to my programmer, and if you can see, this is how it looks before and after. So we've also, while we were doing this, we were also integrating the controller input as well, and it looked a lot better than what it was before. Coming to the part of endless cycle of iteration, there are two things that you need to be very mindful of in your production journey. For the first one is polish, and the second one is feature addition. Let's talk about polish. Polish, there is no end to polish. Like, you can keep on polishing the game no matter how much you want, and you probably would not be satisfied. So the level of polish that you want to make is something that you need to determine, and this is something nobody can tell you. There are a lot of other factors that depend upon why you should be polished, how much you should be polishing, and if at all polish is necessary or not. And the second thing is feature addition. Now you would feel that initially if you're starting making a game and you don't get to think about anything, like you don't get any ideas of what you're supposed to do. But later on, as you like discover your first mechanic, you're probably sleeping or you're taking a shower, you get these ideas of, oh, I want to put in that feature, I want to put in that feature. It's very easy to become a feature freak, and you do not realize how difficult it is, or like how difficult it is to accommodate within the whatever planned project that you have. Features can be very daunting and like time consuming process. So you have to take a conscious decision of cutting out those features that are not necessary, and then probably whatever you prototyped, you just want to like you reuse them in creative ways so that you can make the game interesting. So that is what I've realized over the course of the last devlog that we have made. So that's about it in this video. If you've liked this content, if you feel that this video was insightful and interesting, please consider subscribing. And until next time, thanks for watching.